I was thinking that I need to find maybe a connecting theme for when I do these 2-in-1 reviews. Last time we did this, the two contenders were a Minecraft Playmobil thing and a Shadow puzzle game, which have about as much in common as I do with Yulmi or Rojes. Did I say that right? Probably not. Moving on. I don't know why, maybe I just personally think it's a weird thing to do to mix two games into one review that have basically nothing to do with each other. I could always, just not do that. Then maybe I wouldn't burn through so many games in a month. However, I am male and therefore unable to admit that my stupid idea was a stupid idea. So here we are again with two different games that are largely on different ends of the spectrum. Although I can think of one correlation between the two games in this week's video, actually. It's very technical, difficult to explain in layman's terms, but I will try. How do I put this? Both of this week's games caused me to pretty much rage quit, more than once in some cases. Yeah, that'll do. First up is the one that I'm less poorly disposed towards, Horror Tales: The Why. Now, as a naturally anxious person who refuses to take his medication, a horror game is not the most advisable thing for me to play. I am fairly certain my counsellor even said that I should avoid this sort of media content. And it's not that I disagree with that line of thinking, I just don't think things through a lot. In Horror Tales: The Why, you play a man whose name did not adhere to my memory, or maybe he just doesn't have one at all, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to call him Sam, I am. Sam comes to a mysterious Mediterranean island in search of a wine bottle to cure his family's sickness, in contrast to how wine usually works. For me, it just made me feel instantly unwell, but then I am a lightweight when it comes to alcohol, and Sam I am must contend with a shotgun-wielding lunatic and a headless bloke, for some reason. Let me get the praise out of the way first, because there is praise to be offered. Firstly, the game looks very nice. There's a lot of detail in the environment. I like how sunny some parts of the game are because they juxtapose nicely against the dark, scary horror bits. I think part of what makes the sunny bits themselves so unnerving is that they're just so quiet. These places where people are meant to be everywhere are empty and you feel isolated, alone, and well, that's good. That's good horror basic stuff. That was a nonsense sentence bit I just said there, but I'm not reading that paragraph again, so fuck it, we'll leave it in. The graphics look pretty good. I've never been an amazing judge of this sort of thing, but it looks nice for the most part, and also everything sounds quite good. I mean, a lot of the noises are really loud and echoey, and they make you jump very easily. At least they made me jump very easily, but again, I'm anxious and off my meds. But that does add a lot of tension as you explore this quiet, empty town, so yeah, it's a good thing. It's a pretty good thing. I also love how explorative the game is. The maps have plenty of nooks and crannies to search for clues, keys, and backstory pieces, and all in all, by the end of my first hour, I was feeling really positive about the game. Well, I was nervous with every corner and jumping at every sound I heard, but yeah, that's a horror game doing its job well. That's positive relative to the game. What I also like is the game doesn't feel overly patronising in its environment design. You'll have to look around and prod at stuff until you figure out the way forward, which I don't find to be a bad thing. Which I don't find to be a bad thing. I'm just going to leave that in, I can't be asked to cut that out. Quite early on in the coastal town, you need to sort of shimmy your way down the side of a seawall to get to a dark room to find clues that you need to move forward. There's no prompting or anything, you just have to figure this out. You know, like you've actually got a brain. And in a lot of rooms, there are plenty of easy to miss spaces that you need to crawl through that are hidden behind the physics objects that you can pick up and move around, and again, it's just easy to overlook this sort of thing. It rewards your thinking. Its puzzles are, they're basic at their core, but I think they're executed well enough that that's not itself a problem. I like that the game doesn't hold your hand and you can succeed and feel like you've achieved a thing. You feel like you've actually succeeded in figuring out your way forward, even if it is possible to brute force your way through some of the basic puzzle bits that you see, like the shape matching game. But then I do think this design offers a certain level of freedom, and in reality, yeah, you'd be able to figure shit out on your own. It's weird that there's no backup security system that would go off if you fail too many times, but you know what? It's fine, I can work with this. Sadly, this brings to an end the positive aspects of the game in my mind. See, it all falls apart when the game's monsters happen. Sam I Am's mission to find a bottle of wine is often impeded by the two I mentioned earlier, Shotgun Dude and Headless Bloke. In my time playing, though, I was never actually threatened by the Shotgun Dude. He never really seemed to notice me, he just wandered around whistling and minding his own business, and I just thought, well, okay then. Then there is Jimmy No Head, who appears to chase you every so often with an awkward sounding noise thing that feels like it's supposed to be creepy, but it just doesn't do anything for me. It just sounds like just a random sound happening behind him. He appears, he chases you slowly around a place, then vanishes. Sure, if he catches you, he will usually kill you, and it's not particularly scary, and he only ever seems to appear if you're making progress in a level, so there's no real ambiguity to that once you know which way you're supposed to go, and sometimes it's fairly obvious. you can expect to run into him. I say usually when I talk about him killing you because the first time I met him, he beat me up a little bit after I backed away for a while and then he just vanished and I was like, well, alright then. And instantly the tension of the situation was broken and it never quite returned. I would be wandering around hoping that I'm going the right way in this maze-like environment only for him to appear and I'd be all like, oh, that's good, I'm going the right way. Alright, Jimmy. He'd often kill me the first time on each encounter because I hadn't yet figured out what way I was supposed to be going or because it took me a little bit by surprise and I just thought, I'll just let him kill me and figure it out in a minute. That's not the attitude to have playing a horror game really, is it? Just, might as well just let him do this and then I'll figure it out next time. And once you've figured out what way you're supposed to go, avoiding him is pretty simple stuff. The issue with these monsters, if you can really call them monsters, is that they're really easy to get a good look at, which takes away from their mystique and, well, so far they're the only two I saw. Just two weird dudes who aren't exactly scary on their own. Wandering around the quiet environment is tense, for sure, but it all falls apart when I see their familiar faces. If anything, again, I was relieved because it told me I was going the right way, and you shouldn't be relieved when you see the monster in a horror game. That should be when you're shitting your pants, if you'll forgive my my academic way of putting that. There are also some awkward design choices that are, well, in a more competent horror title, they would provide the necessary feeling of vulnerability. When you get the flashlight after about an hour or so, it can't stay on for very long before having to turn off and recharge. It would be scary, but it recharges on its own, and in dark rooms, I never felt particularly worried because Headless was the worst I could expect and outrunning him was fairly easy. Even if you can only sprint for a few seconds before Sam I Am loses his breath. I mean, I don't want to brag, but I'm asthmatic, out of shape, and I would describe myself as motivationally shot, yet I can outrun this clown on a belly full of pasta. I call it sprinting, but really it's more like a somewhat rushed jog, and the unseen stamina bar is just an annoyance. There are these sections where doors lead to the wrong place or just up and vanish, standard horror bits really, and again, in a more competent horror title, they might have added something. What is it though that led to my aforementioned rage quit, you might be asking? Well, viewer, allow me to tell you a story. I was a couple hours in, and in a sequence where I'm in a snowy island with a basic maze made out of some copy-pasted broken brick walls. In the prior section, I learned two things about levers. They're slow to use, and carrying them makes you slow as well. I saw a broken lever on the ground in this little snowy area, this snowy maze area, and I knew what was coming. It was obvious, wasn't it, right? I mean, I don't have to tell you what was going to happen for you to figure it out, right? I mean, I'm going to anyway because I'm a spoily arsehole. What was going to happen was Headless was going to appear, he was going to chase me around, I need to grab the lever, move it closer a bit each time, drop it, run away, you know, basically just play this game where I'm constantly luring the dude away and then finally able to open the way forwards with the really slow to carry, slow to operate lever, which, again, it just wasn't scary, it was irritating to deal with. This was a really tedious section. Headless caught me twice because you can't even sprint with the lever, you can't even get a slight jog going if you're carrying the lever. Sam I Am must be the most out of shape person in the fucking world if he can't do that. And a couple of times if I'd made an error in this section, I just stood still, let him kill me so I could try again because I couldn't be arsed. It was hardly a tense, scary challenge is my point. It was just a dull game of cat and mouse in a intensely bright environment which only let you get a really good look at Headless again. It's not the first time you get a really good look at him, but in this wide open, almost cartoonish section where you're just on a little island in the middle of nowhere, he's just so obvious. It's not scary to be in his presence. He's not scary to behold. At least I didn't. Obviously, horror's a subjective thing. I personally didn't find it scary. And I jumped at my own shadow once. It's just his silly soundtrack and his goofy walk are a joke because Sam I Am is about as athletic as Stephen Hawking's obese dog. And it's easy to lure him away. He follows you wherever you go. He follows a very basic and easy to predict path. And he can't jump down certain bits, so I just lured him up to a sort of high ground area and kept jumping off that and sprinting away. That was a huge pain. I needed about a day, I think, before I went back to deal with the game again, because I thought that was just forking tedious, if you'll pardon my intentionally censored curse word. I don't know why I did that. I've been swearing all the time. It's pointless to do it now. I was left disinterested by the whole section. It was a lazy, out-of-nowhere nonsense puzzle in a bright, snowy environment surrounded by a sea of blood and a very insert horror section here move. And I still don't understand where it came from or why. I mean, maybe this is all going on in our protagonist's head. I don't know. I never figured it out. But that doesn't really constitute a rage quit. I mean, I got angry, and after I finally beat the section, I thought, yeah, that was fucking annoying. I'm just going to stop playing now. I really wanted to use the F word less this week. I'm not doing a good job of that, am I? Anyway, where does the rage quit come in? After this section, sometime later, I'm walking through a dark alley, there's nothing to indicate I'm even in the right place. Then suddenly I fall through a nondescript piece of floor into a dark room where guess who's waiting for me? Yeah, it's the same boring headless dude again. And the same basic puzzle was waiting for me. Had to lure them away from a lever and then operate the lever somehow, which is it's a bit annoying because you have to stare so intently at the lever and be so close to it to operate it, and it's so slow. It's one of those hold down the button situations, and after he beat me dead a few times, I just couldn't be arsed. I'd had enough by that point. It was done. Any sense of horror had long ago fucked off into the stratosphere, and I was just having a bad time with the game. For all of its positive beginning, it failed to land a successful horror once it made it clear that the monsters were complete. Well, I was going to say non-threats. I mean, obviously they can kill you. Obviously they can hurt you. They have to be able to hurt you to do something. But I wasn't afraid of them hurting me at any point once I knew the consequences. There's very little consequence in them hurting you. You just get sent back a little bit to a checkpoint, and the checkpoints were never far enough away that it was a big deal for me. And the monsters themselves are just dudes in silly outfits. There's nothing scary about it. Maybe you're a little bit unnerved by a nearly headless bloke, but to be honest, I'm not. Personally, it didn't work for me. I said it already that it was a relief to see these monsters, right? And that's just the biggest part of the game I can't get over it. That seeing them wasn't a scary, oh god, I'm gonna die, I got off my... Seeing them was, oh good, I'm going the right way. That's not the right feeling, that's not the right response. And if the game was encouraging that response and not a response of absolute dread or horror, it didn't do horror right. Let's move on to this week's next title, Blue Fire. I did a first impressions of this one a few days ago, and at the time of recording it has about 4 views. On the store page it's been tagged as unique, I am assuming by someone who must be new to video games, because Zelda and Mario already exist, because Dark Souls and Metroidvania games already exist, because video games already exist, basically. But we'll get to that in a little while. In Blue Fire, you play as a nameless, gender-neutral adventurer, who I will call Beck, who has come to a mysterious dying land to stop it from dying, from what I can tell. Their chosen method is to stab up most of the living things they encounter, to learn silly gestures, and to constantly overshoot platforms. I mean, not exactly sound strategy, but who am I to judge? Of the two, this game I rage quit more than once because I found the overly sensitive controls combined with the too fast movement speed of Beck to be a nightmare when engaging in precision platforming. Let's also mention that whilst Beck can grab onto ledges and pull themselves up, they usually won't, and later when you get the wall run ability, what felt like a 1 in 3 chance of grabbing a grabbable ledge became a 1 in 10 chance. I made references to other video games earlier, so let me explain myself. Zelda and Mario influences, let's start with those first. It's a 3D platformer where you control a personality-deficient creature in a stylized world. It's quite explorative. Oh, shoot, that could have been a connecting theme. These are both explorative games. Well, too late. You get to explore and smash pots for currency. That's very Zelda-like. The Mario influence we'll talk more about later. For now, let's quickly focus on the Dark Souls influence for the game, as we engage in third-person hack-and-slash combat with a lock-on mechanic, the ability to dodge or block attacks. Actually, I think Zelda might have had some of those. I don't know, I don't play Zelda games. No stamina bar though, thank God for that. I could do with less of these. Though you do lose your souls on death, and the hitboxes are taking lethal amounts of piss. Wait, not souls. What does the game call its currency? I can't remember, and I can't be asked to Google it. The Metroidvania bits come into play with routes that are inaccessible to you unless you have a certain ability. At least I'm assuming this is the case. Early on I did see a few routes that I couldn't go down because they looked out of reach for me. And so with the unlocking of the wall run power, it made me think, I bet we go to these later, with a new ability to get us through. That might be the case. Don't know. They might have just been scenery, for all I can tell. Like with Horror Tales to Wine, I want to quickly get the praise out of the way now, because there is praise to be off. I love the graphics and the art style, for instance. I also really love the background music. Plus, a lot of work has gone into the lore to try and world build, even if it does come off as a bit generic. It's still a nice touch, it's a nice thing to have, and there's plenty of games that don't even make that effort. I also like the inclusion of NPCs and quests. In fact, I like how, despite the shit I'm about to go off on in a moment, the game is made with a certain level of love and care by the developers. They had a vision in mind. Considering that the PlayStation Store has become another Steam in recent years, full of hacks peddling half-baked nonsense and asset flips, it's nice to see games released that are trying. They're trying to be good games, they're trying to be interesting. For all my bitching about Horror Tales to Wine, it was also trying. It was making an effort. It wanted to do something, even if it didn't do it very well. The game really falls apart for me when you're required to make massive leaps of faith onto two thin platforms, having to battle with Beck's singular unchanging movement speed and controller sensitivity, and unfortunately that's most of the game. On paper, I like using run-ups, jumps, wall runs and dashes to solve puzzles and clear levels. Somehow though, Blue Fire just doesn't click for me. I am not the best video game player in the world, not by a long shot. I've made my peace with that. I can largely accept my own mistakes when it comes to failing at a video game. A loaded sentence and one up for mockery, I am certainly sure. But a lot of the time in Blue Fire, I would overshoot ledges and it just doesn't feel like it should have happened. As I say, mechs sometimes just won't grab a ledge to save themselves for some reason, even if they're in the optimal position to do so. And the unlockable wall run, as I said, it only made this situation more of a gamble. Let's also bring up how the combat is rather unenjoyable, because as well as standard attacks, enemies also do contact damage, which is annoying as hell. I don't get contact damage half the time. I mean, if your enemy's spiky or on fire, I can sort of understand, but most of these guys are just dudes or little slime monsters, and I just think, does it have to be contact damage? Do you have to have that? You're already pretty annoying. The thing is, the only reward you get for fighting enemies is an upgrade material to increase your mana, which you don't really need to use much. From what I saw, it was a mostly piss-easy walk to an enemy to slash them. A few times there are monsters that float and shoot you, and you need your mana then, partly to shoot fire at them and partly to shield. Yes, you heard me right, you need to use mana to use your shield, even though the shield is a physical object that you picked up. And most of all, when you do shield, the enemy attack still has a hell of a knockback effect, and I got knocked off of ledges while using it before, and, well, ultimately I ended up relying on the shield less. Maybe that was the game's intent though, why give us one at all if you really don't want us to use it? I also want to get some hate on for the currency limit of 2,999 souls. I still can't remember what the actual currency is called, I don't remember. I'm sure the footage will say it at least once or twice, but I'm recording the audio separately, so I don't remember. You can upgrade this limit, but the only upgrade that I found cost about 4,000 souls, so I obviously missed a vendor earlier, probably in the sewers, but I'll be damned if I'm going back through there just to find one dude. You can also carry 2 healing items that completely restore health and mana after an awkward second delay for some reason, which is annoying in and of itself. As if the already low limit for the healing items wasn't bad enough, although you can upgrade this capacity at a vendor, who is hidden on an inn on the 4th floor of a building beyond 2 annoyingly thin platforms suspended over a deadly body of water. First question, why the fuck is an inn the most out-of-the-way, inaccessible business in this town? Second, why does the game resort to that water hurts the player bit? It's annoying because without the upgrade you can only carry 2 healing items and you can easily have a run of bad luck and find yourself low on health with no means of recovery. You can then either flail randomly at nearby boxes hoping that instead of currency one will disgorge a healing item for you, which appears to be rare, at least in my experience, or you can just get yourself killed and get sent back to your last checkpoint. The checkpoints in this game that you can use to heal and level up your mana and choose what passive buffs you have are nice enough to have. You also save at these points, which again, that's alright. However, you don't get any healing items back by resting. At least the local enemies don't seem to respawn if you just rest at a checkpoint. However, if you leave the area and return, they come back. But guess what doesn't come back? That's right, your healing items. They don't come back then. I did not make it overly far into the game, if I'm being totally honest. Whilst at the beginning of last week I was left really irritated by the whole game, the platforming, the enemies, the weird design of the healing items and currency cap. Why is there a currency cap? We don't need currency caps. Whilst that left me feeling really irritated and weirdly hungry for some reason, with some time to cool down, I find it to be more of a shame than anything else that I didn't want to stick with the game. Like I said, I feel like real effort and some artistic talent was behind this game to an extent, and for the end product to be so very irritating and unrewarding to play just makes me sad. Blue Fire feels like it should be a game that I delight in, yet each session lasted only about 20 minutes towards my quitting because the controls got on my nerves and Beck just can't be trusted to do your basic shit. Also, random bit of hate here, circle to close menus, okay? Not to confirm purchases. The whole interface when actually talking to an NPC is really irritating to deal with. I also didn't mention the Mario-esque levels where you're in a void with random platforms suspended everywhere and you've got to sort of jump around and solve the puzzle, which was, it was nice in theory, but you don't really get much reward out of doing it. You don't have to do any of them. And again, the controls and untrustworthiness of your character, they didn't make them fun to play, they were just annoying. Overall, whatever charm this game has becomes easily outshined for me when the gameplay happens, and, well, it's a video game, that's not good. If things could be tidied up a little bit, then maybe I'd recommend it. As it stands, it's just a game that irritated the fuck out of me, and now I feel kind of sad that it did, because I wanted to like it. I don't go into games wanting to hate them. I don't find that to be a useful approach to anything. I wanted to like this game, it didn't happen. So that's 2 games this week again, and unlike last week, I don't want to recommend either of them. We've got a horror title that doesn't really know how to horror, and a platformer that got on my tits a lot, and my tits aren't even that big, so I'm impressed by that. Sorry this video took me so long, by the way. I kept getting distracted whilst making this video and re-recording bits because I was displeased with some of my own critique. Hopefully my next video comes out sooner. I've already got 2 more games lined up to do, and I will promise you now that Vera will not be dressing up for this occasion because, oh, you'll see why. Thanks for watching, be sure to check out the other content available on the channel, and don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more content. You can also support the channel on Patreon from as little as £1 a month. Check out the link in the description. Thanks in advance, and we'll see you next time.